Let's start from number 8 to number 1. Number 1 is dangerous but better than Earth. Number 8. WASP 76b does not have weather, it has punishment. Picture a world where the morning forecast is molten iron, not metaphorically. Astronomers using the espresso instrument at the Very Large Telescope in Chile detected actual vaporized iron in the atmosphere of WASP 76b, condensing into liquid metal droplets that fall like rain on the planet's cooler night side. The day side sits around 2000 degrees Celsius, hot enough to tear iron atoms apart. The night side is cool enough for that same iron to rain back down as a shimmering, deadly drizzle. You want to talk about a bad commute. Imagine a planet so tidally locked that one hemisphere is permanently frozen in a scorched noon, while the other never sees daylight at all. An eternal, starless midnight where metal storms fall silently in the dark. There is something almost unbearably poetic about a place where the very concept of shelter means standing in shadow while iron falls like snow. Scientists studying the exoplanet, led by researchers publishing in Nature in 2020, describe an atmosphere so chemically violent it behaves less like weather and more like a slow-motion furnace autopsy. And here's the part that should unsettle you. WASP 76b orbits its star in just over 43 hours. A year shorter than most people's work week, spent circling a sun that is actively trying to strip the planet's atmosphere away, layer by layer, into space. It is not a planet dying quietly. It is a planet being sandblasted alive, one furious orbit at a time, and it will keep happening long after every human who ever heard its name has turned to dust that, unlike WASP 76b's rain, will never fall as anything beautiful. Number 7. HD 189733b looks like a jewel from a distance, and that is exactly the problem. From light years away, this planet gleams a deep, almost inviting cobalt blue, the kind of blue that makes you think of Earth's oceans, of home, of safety. It is none of those things. The blue color, confirmed through reflected light observations by a team using the Hubble Space Telescope, comes not from water but from silicate particles suspended in an atmosphere so violently hot that glass itself vaporizes and condenses into airborne shards. Then the wind picks up, not a breeze, not a gale. Winds estimated at over 5,000 kilometers per hour, strong enough that molten glass rains sideways, horizontally, propelled by forces that make Earth's worst hurricanes look like a polite exhale. Think about that for one uncomfortable second. Glass falling not down but across, driven by wind that could circle the entire planet in under 2 hours. There is a strange, almost cruel irony in a world so beautiful from orbit and so annihilating up close, a planet that performs loveliness for anyone far enough away to be fooled by it. Researchers have called HD 189733b one of the most hostile exoplanets ever directly characterized, and honestly, that undersells it. This is a planet that turns its own atmosphere into shrapnel and hurls it sideways at speeds that would flatten steel. If beauty is often described as something that hides danger, HD 189733b might be the most literal example the universe has ever produced. Number 6. 55 Cancri E is the planet that made everyone briefly, deliriously excited and then deeply, quietly disturbed. When astronomers first modeled its density and composition, the headlines wrote themselves, a diamond planet twice the size of Earth, potentially composed in significant part of carbon, crystallized under extreme pressure into something resembling diamond. Researchers, including a team led by Niku Madhusudan, whose 2012 study proposed the carbon-rich composition, sparked global fascination with the idea of a world worth more than every fortune ever assembled by humankind. But nobody stopped to ask what it would actually feel like to stand there. The dayside temperature reaches roughly 2,400 degrees Celsius, hot enough to melt any diamond structure back into churning lava the moment it formed. Later infrared observations from the James Webb Space Telescope in 2023 revealed something even stranger, a planet possibly cloaked in a thin atmosphere of vaporized rock where the sky itself is made of evaporated stone drifting over oceans of molten magma. This is not a treasure. This is a planet turning its own geology against itself in an endless, glittering act of self-destruction. Consider the emotional whiplash, humanity's collective fantasy of infinite wealth, sitting 40 light-years away, revealed instead to be one of the most violently inhospitable places astronomers have ever studied. 55 Cancri E teaches a lesson nobody asked for, that the universe's most dazzling objects are very often its most lethal, and that greed, even cosmic greed, always arrives a little too late to notice the lava underneath the shine. Number 5. Ogle 2005 BLG 390LB was found using a method that should honestly terrify you a little just by how it works. This planet was not photographed. It was not directly observed at all. It was detected through gravitational microlensing, a phenomenon where the planet's gravity briefly bent and magnified the light of a distant background star as it passed in front of it, an effect predicted by Einstein and confirmed by an international collaboration in 2006. Think about that. We found this world by watching the universe itself flicker. What they found on the other side of that flicker was a planet locked in permanent, punishing cold, orbiting so far from its dim host star that surface temperatures are estimated around -220 degrees Celsius, cold enough to freeze nitrogen solid, cold enough that even the concept of a season becomes meaningless because nothing here ever warms. There is a particular kind of dread in a planet you can only prove existed for a few days, a fleeting cosmic signature that vanished once the alignment passed, leaving behind only data and the certainty that somewhere out there, a frozen world continues orbiting in total isolation, unseen and unseeable again by the exact method that revealed it. Unlike the fiery horrors of Iron Rain and Glass Wind, OGLE 2005 BLG 390LB offers a quieter, more existential kind of fear, the fear of profound, permanent absence. No light, no warmth, no return visit possible, just a distant, frozen certainty drifting through the dark long after the star that briefly revealed it has moved on without looking back. Number 4. Kepler 16b has 2 suns, and somehow that is the least unsettling thing about it. Confirmed in 2011 by a team at NASA's Kepler mission led by Lawrence Doyle, this is a genuine circumbinary planet, meaning it orbits not one star but 2, locked in a gravitational dance where both suns rise and set in complex, overlapping patterns across a sky that never repeats the same way twice. People immediately called it the real Tatooine, and sure, that is charming until you actually think through the mechanics of living somewhere with 2 competing gravitational anchors constantly tugging at the planet's orbit, occasionally causing subtle wobbles that planetary scientists still model carefully to understand long-term orbital stability. Kepler 16b itself is likely a cold, gaseous world, inhospitable in the conventional sense, but the real horror here is conceptual, not chemical. Imagine a sky with no fixed pattern, no single reliable sunrise, no anchor point for something as basic as tracking a day. Every internal clock a hypothetical observer might build would eventually break under the strain of 2 stars refusing to agree on when night should begin. There is something deeply destabilizing about a world defined by divided allegiance, gravitationally speaking, forever caught between 2 competing centers of mass that will never fully release their hold on it. Kepler 16b did not just prove science fiction possible, it proved that some of science fiction's cleaner ideas become, in reality, a slow, orbital tug-of-war with no clear winner and no scheduled end. Number 3. TRES-2b is the darkest planet ever measured, and darkness, it turns out, is its own kind of horror. Discovered through transit photometry and studied using data from NASA's Kepler spacecraft, TRES-2b reflects less than 1% of the light that hits it, making it darker than coal, darker than fresh asphalt, darker than almost anything found naturally on Earth. Researchers in a study led by David Kipping, published in 2011, proposed that light-absorbing chemical compounds in its atmosphere, along with the absence of reflective clouds, essentially swallow incoming starlight whole. What little light does escape comes only from the planet's own internal heat, a faint, dim red glow radiating off a surface baked by a star it orbits from a punishingly close distance. Try to picture it. not black like a night sky which still holds pinpricks of distant starlight. Black like something actively refusing to give anything back, a planet-sized void quietly absorbing every photon sent its way and returning nothing except a low, simmering red afterimage of its own suffering. There is a specific kind of dread reserved for things that take and never reflect, and TRES-2b embodies that dread on a planetary scale. It does not shine, it does not sparkle. It sits in orbit, silently consuming light the way certain memories consume attention, giving back only a dim, reluctant glow that feels less like illumination and more like a wound that never fully closes. Number 2. Gliese 436b is on fire, and it is also, somehow, made of ice. And honestly, nobody has fully forgiven the universe for this. Confirmed through radial velocity measurements in the mid-2000s and further studied by teams including researchers publishing in the Astrophysical Journal, this so-called burning ice planet holds water in a bizarre high-pressure ice phase compressed so intensely by gravity that it remains solid even while surface temperatures soar to around 300 degrees Celsius. Under normal pressure, that heat would boil water away instantly. Here, the crushing gravitational force keeps the ice locked in place even as it burns, creating a planet that is simultaneously frozen and flaming, a contradiction that should not exist and yet orbits a red dwarf star roughly 30 light-years from Earth. There is something almost unbearably human about that image, a thing constantly consumed by fire while trapped, structurally in a form that refuses to melt or release. Astronomers describe this as exotic ice, a phase of water utterly unlike anything found in Earth's glaciers or freezers, held together by pressure rather than cold. Gliese 436bi does not offer the clean horror of a single extreme. It offers the far more disturbing horror of paradox, a planet caught in permanent internal conflict between the fire trying to destroy it and the pressure refusing to let it go, burning eternally without ever actually being allowed to burn away. Number 1. The planet's orbiting pulsar PSRB 1257+12 were the first exoplanets ever confirmed, and almost nobody talks about how genuinely disturbing that origin story is. Discovered in 1992 by astronomers Alexander Volschan and Dale Frail, these worlds orbit not a normal star, but the collapsed spinning corpse of one, a neutron star pulsar spinning hundreds of times per second, sweeping out beams of intense radiation like a cosmic lighthouse built from the wreckage of a supernova. Any planet here does not orbit a sun, it orbits a grave. These worlds are bathed continuously in lethal radiation and high-energy particles blasted out by the pulsar's rotation, environments almost certainly hostile to any form of biology as we understand it. And yet they exist, rocky and defined, tracing stable orbits around the remains of a star that violently died in the exact same explosion that likely destroyed whatever planets, if any, existed there before. Consider the strange, grim resilience of that. These are not the original planets of that system. Evidence suggests they may have formed afterward, from the scattered debris of the very cataclysm that killed their star, planets literally built from the ashes of an apocalypse, faithfully orbiting the corpse that created them. Humanity's first confirmed glimpse beyond the solar system was not a warm, hopeful world. It was 2 or 3 haunted, radiation-scorched objects, born from death, circling death, forever proving that even after everything ends catastrophically and completely, something somehow finds a way to reassemble itself in the dark.